Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're unpacking a truly fascinating case study, really packed with insights for anyone navigating the roller coaster of entrepreneurship, especially in the fast-paced world of AI. We often highlight the big successes, but there's just so much to learn from the ventures that don't quite reach the finish line, particularly when their founders share their journeys with remarkable candor. This deep dive is crafted specifically for you, designed to give you those aha moments and make complex entrepreneurial lessons incredibly clear. Our mission today is to peel back the layers of a specific startup project, an AI social tool for couples called Avoidance. We've taken a deep look at the founder's incredibly honest retrospective. It's this document that just lays bare a 16-month journey, a 450,000 RMB investment, and ultimately why it didn't succeed. We're here to extract the most potent nuggets of knowledge, understand the critical decisions made and missed, and learn from the challenges in areas like strategic planning, team building, project execution. Let's dive in, because this is where the real lessons emerge.
Indeed. And what makes the source material so valuable, I think, is the founder's level of self-reflection. It's really quite striking. It's not just, a list of events. It's a critical analysis of their own thought processes, their biases, their mistakes. This helps us understand not just what happened, but why these common entrepreneurial pitfalls occur. We'll be connecting these specific experiences back to universal principles of business strategy and critical thinking. And it prompts us to ask right from the start, how much does personal conviction, that gut feeling, need to be tempered by rigorous objective analysis when you're embarking on something as high stakes as a startup?
Yeah, that's a key question. So let's start at the very beginning. February 2024, the founder, on Chinese New Year break, made a personal decision. Okay, I'm starting a business. They felt ready, financially stable, no loans, high risk tolerance. Seems pretty solid. Add to that the explosive growth in the AI industry and their own 8 years of product management experience, 2 of which are actually in AI products, plus, a long-standing desire for independent entrepreneurship. On the surface, it really sounds like a strong personal foundation for a confident leap, doesn't it?
On the surface, absolutely. It checks a lot of boxes, subjectively speaking. However, the founder, in their retrospective, candidly admits this initial assessment, driven mostly by passion, should have been a formal written SWOT analysis. Think about it. SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It forces a holistic, rational look. Sure, they saw AI industry growth as an opportunity and personal experience as a strength. That's clear. But what weaknesses or threats might have been overlooked or maybe downplayed because of all that enthusiasm? The core lesson here isn't, see a weakness, abandon ship. Not at all. It's about knowing your vulnerabilities up front so you can rapidly and effectively address them. For example, if a SWOT had flagged a weakness in, say, securing top-tier AI engineering talent early on, well, the founder could have proactively sought a technical co-founder from day one instead of piecing things together later. This objective foresight is just critical. It's a sharp contrast to a purely passion-driven leap.
That's a powerful distinction. Proactive preparation versus, reactive scrambling later on. Okay, fast forward to April 2024. The founder had multiple startup ideas brewing, and they began to meticulously filter them using a rigorous PK, or comparison process. Interesting term. Each idea was evaluated on technical feasibility, user demand intensity, and the competitive landscape. This process narrowed it down to 2 main directions. Direction A was the path they eventually chose, an AI application for couples based on their instant messaging. Apparently, the founder had a long history researching online relationships going back to 2014, and they saw strong commercial value in couple-focused tools, noting the low market penetration of existing players, like less than 10%. They believe couples' high-frequency chat data would allow for deep personalization, creating this positive feedback loop. They also felt dominant platforms like WeChat couldn't really service this niche properly. And crucially, they anticipated easy commercialization with lots of payment opportunities. That sounds a bit optimistic, maybe? Direction B was quite different, an AI for organizing books and TED Talk videos. This came from the founder's personal pain point for getting stuff they read or watched. The idea was an AI-powered knowledge base, but despite some skepticism from peers about Direction A, that's the one they chose. And it was reinforced by a 303 sample survey that the founder themselves admitted was interpreted optimistically.
Right, and that decision, choosing A despite the skepticism, it's a classic example of confirmation bias in action. That optimistically interpreted survey, it basically served to validate the preference they already had. The founder's retrospective is really powerful here. It highlights that the startup direction choice itself was flawed. Why? Because they haven't first defined what the standards for a good direction should even be. It's like setting out on a journey without a compass, just picking a path that feels good. The source actually contrasts this with a successful alumnus, Lu Jingkang of Insta360. He apparently used this hunter looking for prey analogy with 3 very clear objective criteria. 1, an unsolved pain point. 2, market leaders with good gross profit, indicating barrier to entry. And 3, a multi-billion RMB sales scale. Not too small, not too big. Without rational criteria like that, it's just too easy to subjectively gather evidence that proves your own idea is the best one. Like the founder's conviction that commercialization would be easy. It lacked a concrete business model, no validated revenue streams yet. This is exactly where the concept of the commercial closed loop comes in. How does value actually flow back to the business? For Bao-Bao-Ness, that assumption of easy money. It lacked this clear, validated loop. The retrospective critiques the absence of an early return on investment ROI discussion. It emphasizes that non-hard tech startups today must show strong profitability potential. It's just the reality of funding. Tangible indicators of value like investors actually eager to talk or users lining up are crucial early on. The founders get hands dirty, do first, then talk mentality, while it sounds entrepreneurial. It bypassed these crucial validation steps, which raises an important question for you listening. How do you balance that drive with the critical need for early, objective market validation? And the source offers a really compelling alternative to just surveys, fully demonstrating the user scenarios through a video, then testing real interest by asking for waitlist signups, maybe even paid priority usage. That gauges tangible user commitment. Willingness to pay is the ultimate validation, right? If users queue up, okay, you've got compelling evidence for teams, for investors. If not, you fail fast. You pivot, and you save immense time and money. This failing fast approach is just absolutely crucial in startups. It prevents you from burning all your resources on something the market ultimately doesn't want.
That idea of failing fast and learning, yeah, it's vital. Okay, so once the direction was chosen, the next monumental task was building the team. And this was an arduous, winding road for the founder. It spanned multiple phases from June 2024 all the way to February 2025. It really offers a stark lesson in, well, human capital challenges. Let's look at how this team evolved. Initially, in June 2024, the founder cast a really wide net. They brought in an impressive 24 part-time people covering UI, product development, AI, all the bases seemingly covered. They held bi-weekly meetings, but people kept leaving. Attrition was constant. By September 2024, after the founder quit their job to go full-time, the struggle with part-time delivery became really clear. And equity issues were still unresolved. So this led to a full-time partnership with Mr. X, which did accelerate the mini program development. But then, by October 2024, the mini program promotions showed low engagement, low payment rates. So they pivoted again, this time to building a full APP. They found a 4-person part-time team, but by December, a deliverable app was still elusive. They even started promotions before the product was ready, just hoping to sustain the team somehow. Kind of desperate. This led to December 2024, finding developers willing to work for smaller payments. Finally, they got a basic functioning APP. And then, by February 2025, the team mostly comprised interns and some stable part-timers. They could deliver quality design and some development, but under guidance. It's just this long, complex journey, highlighting the constant struggle to get committed talent on board.
Yeah, this whole team-building saga offers some really profound lessons. I mean, the founder contacted an astonishing 25,000 people just to find those willing to participate, often unpaid. While that shows tenacity, it also highlights the immense difficulty of achieving sustained, effective delivery with non-committed or minimally committed teams. It perfectly illustrates the classic cost-quality-speed dilemma in entrepreneurship. You can usually only pick 2. By prioritizing low cost using part-time, minimally paid labor, they inevitably sacrifice speed and likely incur higher costs later in rework or delays. The retrospective notes that without a deeply committed, properly incentivized core team, a team willing to really go all in a startup just lacks the fundamental strength needed. It doesn't have that golden drill, as they put it. And furthermore, the team composition and the equity structure. They were fundamentally flawed for an AI product that needed differentiation. Developers consistently had a low proportion of the team, and crucially, a low equity share. It's a major red flag. It signifies an insufficient investment in the core resources needed to actually build the cutting-edge AI tool. Which raises a critical question. How can you possibly build a stable, motivated team if your most critical skill sets, like advanced AI development, aren't adequately compensated or incentivized? The expert advice from the retrospective is crystal clear on this. Developers should have received at least 35% of the equity, and co-founders must be full-time and reliably cover the main positions. This isn't just about, being fair. It's about aligning incentives with critical contributions. It's about ensuring stability and signaling serious commitment to the market, to investors.
Absolutely. Incentives matter hugely. Okay, beyond the team, managing time and money is paramount. Around May 2024, the founder did set clear limits. 1 year, 500,000 RMB investment. Seemingly sensible boundaries, right? You'd think so. But reality often has other plans. The TASHE-AP's first version didn't actually hit the App Store until February 2025. That's nearly 9 months after the initial plan was set. Way off schedule. And even then, core functionalities weren't usable until April because of bugs, like SMS verification issues. Major fixes weren't in until June. And crucially, before these essential fixes, the team was still focused on developing new features right up until May. That indicates a profound disconnect, doesn't it? Yeah, and the founder admitted they only set a clear project deadline after being reminded twice by their girlfriend. That's telling. It suggests external pressure was maybe more effective than internal discipline at that point. A post-mortem discussion identified timeline issues as a core reason for failure. The team themselves felt too much time was spent polishing UI and adding new features, leaving virtually no time for the absolutely critical AI tuning work for an AI product. And to add to this scope creep, this diffusion of focus, the founder was even pulled into a side project, outlining requirements for a simulation game during Chinese New Year. That whole venture remained unfinished at shutdown. A perfect example of losing focus.
Oh, absolutely. This section is just a masterclass in the perils of premature optimization and the severe consequences of lacking a disciplined timeline. The founder admits it themselves. Once they were in startup mode, they forgot the need for early validation. They were constantly thinking about perfecting the product. It's such a classic trap, isn't it? Instead of validating the core functionality with actual users, you just keep adding features hoping that more will somehow lead to success or more certainty. But it often just means you end up building the wrong thing more efficiently, wasting resources, and the absence of a very clear, respected timeline. That's a monumental mistake. The founder kept thinking, oh, if I just work a little harder, if I just do a little more, it will get there. But a timeline isn't just some rigid constraint. It's actually a protective mechanism for the project and for the entrepreneur. Consider this. If the goal was clearly defined as validating product market fit PMF early on, you wouldn't need fully implemented back-end functions, or a perfect SMS verification, or a super polished UI right away. A quick demo, maybe a prototype, would suffice to get that crucial target user feedback. Think of the time and capital saved. If the answer from users is no PMF, well, you retain precious time and funds to pivot or explore new directions. That's so much better than finding yourself completely depleted when the realization finally hits that it's not working. It's the difference between an informed pivot and just stopping because you're out of gas. The retrospective makes this powerful analogy to calculus. Remember that. Breaking a huge, complex task into smaller, manageable steps, like dividing an irregular shape into tiny segments to calculate its area. It dramatically increases the chances of success. Each micro step focuses on a micro goal, building on the conclusions of the previous one. This calculus approach provides more certainty, allows for better time estimates, and enables more informed decisions at each juncture. It's far more reliable than treating the entire project like one big lottery ticket gamble.
That calculus analogy really brings home the need for precision and incremental validation. It's brilliant. And speaking of precision, or maybe the lack thereof, effective communication is the lifeblood of any startup. So let's look at how communication evolved, or perhaps devolved within the Mir team. Okay. Back in June 2024, with Team 1, they started with regular bi-weekly meetings. That lasted about 2 months. But people kept leaving. Exit interviews revealed a common theme. Members just couldn't consistently align the startup work with their existing jobs or plans. Part-time realities. Interestingly, one team member, Brother Luo, actively encouraged the founder to listen to talks by other failed entrepreneurs, shared course materials even. The founder was initially receptive, but eventually felt these resources, maybe focused on more traditional industries, didn't directly apply to their AI tech venture. So they pressed on, believing cost control was enough. Then, Team 2, September 2024, with the founder and Mr. Yus working full-time, even living together, communication was reportedly very smooth, okay? The main focus then was just recruiting that missing client-side full-time team member. Team 3, October 2024. Now they moved to bi-daily meetings, updating progress, discussing the project, planning next steps, plus private chats. The goal was team stability, work efficiency. But here's a critical point from the retrospective. There was no feedback or discussion about the project's direction or core strategy itself. Zero. Team 4, December 2024. Development kept up the bi-daily meetings. The operations team, though, had daily discussions, brainstorms. The theme was how to operate, but the founder admitted everyone didn't know. They tried various tactics, street interviews, one social media account briefly took off, a small win, product design and user surveys, internal brainstorms for new features. Still very tactical. Finally, Team 5, February 2025, mainly interns and stable part-timers now. Discussions became more informal, focusing on how to do things well, specific meeting times, strategic themes, largely disappeared, mostly just requirements review.
Yeah, this whole trajectory of communication, or lack thereof, reveals a profound systemic issue. There was just a severe, persistent lack of discussion around the really fundamental questions. Why are we doing this? Why now? How should we actually be doing it, strategically speaking? There was no periodic, holistic review of progress against the big picture or future plans based on learning. And this isn't just about how often they met, it's about the quality and depth of the conversation, or the lack of it. Crucially, the team suffered from a severe absence of critical external voices. Think about that. There was virtually no user participation in the strategic discussions, beyond maybe some initial surveys, and no oversight from seasoned industry experts who could have challenged assumptions. Instead, it was primarily, as the source says, doers discussing how to do things, an echo chamber. And brotherly advice, even if from a different industry, likely contained universal lessons on startup validation, risk management, which were unfortunately dismissed. The founder, as the leader, shoulders the primary responsibility here, and they admit it. They admitted to not clearly articulating the most direct user pain point or the product's explicit solution, let alone the core values. In fact, the founder confessed they hadn't even clearly thought through the user's pain point themselves, which is, wow, this leads to a really critical insight. If you, as the leader, haven't clearly defined what needs to be said, what the core problem is, then how you organize meetings or communication channels becomes almost irrelevant, because neither you nor your team really knows what critical strategic issues to discuss. So a question for you listening: if that core problem and solution had been crystal clear from the outset, defined, validated, would team members have had more meaningful ideas or perhaps doubts to contribute? Absolutely. And that's when structured meetings and individual chats become truly meaningful. They foster genuine collaboration, critical thinking, not just task management.
That's a really sharp point. Clarity of purpose dictates the value of communication. Okay, to wrap up this incredibly insightful deep dive, the founder reflected on their journey, recalling how before quitting their job, they had studied Elon Musk's 5 steps for bringing something to fruition at least 10 times. They knew the theory, yet in practice, they fell significantly short, which highlights that common paradox, right? Knowing the theory doesn't automatically translate into flawless execution. The gap between knowing and actually doing can be vast.
Exactly. And the retrospective specifically points to 2 of Musk's steps that, if you neglect them, almost guarantee project failure. And the founder deeply felt they missed these. First, requirements less dumb, basically. Simplify your requirements relentlessly. How do you make demands more reliable, more robust? The founder stresses. Question everything, ruthlessly. Your ideas aren't precious. They need ample criticism from a diverse set of roles. Skepticism from users might reveal the target group is wrong, the problem isn't insightful enough, or the solution isn't simple. Skepticism from engineers could expose technical hurdles, show the idea is too hard to build reasonably, like those AI tuning issues they faced. Skepticism from operators might highlight unclear user base, high marketing costs, could have flagged the mini program promotion struggles earlier, and skepticism from investors. That reveals if it's just an idea versus a mature commercial project, or if the team just isn't capable. The founder realized these multiple viewpoints are absolutely critical for refining and validating those initial requirements, making them grounded in reality. And the second Musk step they missed: delete part or process, streamlining operations, radical simplification. How do you achieve this crucial step of deleting enough unnecessary parts and steps? Get rid of the fluff. The founder offers a profound litmus test. If a project's core product model and its commercialization path cannot be explained clearly in one single sentence, it's probably too complex. Humans, we naturally gravitate towards complexity, right? Believing, oh, I can do this and I can do that too, ignoring the real time and economic costs involved that lead straight to scope creep, diluted focus. And the founder offers some stark advice here. Don't harbor any wishful thinking, none. A project that's destined to fail. Dying early is truly the best outcome. It saves everyone time, money, heartache. It's like they said about crime. Stop early, turn yourself in early. It's always the best path. If you realize something is fundamentally wrong, stop immediately. Don't keep digging. Applying this mindset forces you to rigorously scrutinize the project, to extract only the main trunk, the absolutely correct and essential core components. This radical simplification isn't about cutting corners. It's about focusing finite resources on what truly matters to achieve a minimal viable product and get that critical early validation.
Wow, powerful lessons learned the hard way. So what does this all mean for you, listening in, hungry for knowledge, and eager to navigate your own challenges? This deep dive into SME isn't just a tale of failure, it's really a treasure trove of actionable insights. From the critical importance of objective validation over just subjective passion, to structuring a team with truly aligned incentives, compensating core skills properly, and the absolute necessity of disciplined timelines and that radical simplification Musk talks about. These are lessons that honestly transcend any single industry. They feel like universal truths in building anything meaningful.
Exactly right. And the core belief here, I think, is that knowledge is most valuable when it's not just understood abstractly, but when it's actually applied. This story encourages all of us to question our own assumptions, to actively seek out diverse perspectives, especially critical ones, and most importantly, to embrace critical thinking in a world just overflowing with information and hype. That ability to identify the main trunk of a problem, to relentlessly simplify, and crucially, to have the courage to stop what isn't working, that will always be a competitive advantage.
So what stands out most to you from this deep dive today? Perhaps it's the simple yet profound power of just asking, why are we doing this? Why now? And how should we really do it before jumping in? Or maybe it's the impact of having clear objective criteria before beginning any significant endeavor, not just relying on gut feel. For your own projects, your own learning, your own decisions, here's a final provocative thought to maybe mull over. How can you create a system, maybe in your work or even your life, that actively invites the very criticism and skepticism that could save you from future missteps, from those costly detours? And maybe what's one precious idea of your own that you're now willing to subject to that kind of rigorous, multifaceted questioning, just like the founder learned painfully to do? Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive. We really hope it sparks some new insights for your own journey.